Welcome back to the Army Matters, the Not-So-Newlywed Game. I'm your host, Carrie Varohakis, and let's get back to finding out how much today's couples know about each other. Okay, let's start this round with our two contestants, Lieutenant Colonel Brad Cooper and his wife, Heather. Are you both on the same page after so many years of marriage?
You're gonna make me sleep on the couch tonight.
Let's talk about your first date. Brad, do you remember what it was? And what did Heather wear?
Okay, so our first date, because we were high school sweethearts back in 1996. I don't recall what she was wearing, but I remember we went to go see G.I. Jane, and I took her to Applebee's when Applebee's was a thing back in the day. But this is all back in around May, spring time frame of 1996.
Okay, let's go over to Heather. Is he right?
I think so. I don't know if I remember. I do know he asked me out a couple of times and he got told no. And then he befriended me and then asked me out again, and I'm like, okay, I'll go out with you.
I just kept wearing her down. That was the thing.
But I think it was Applebee's. Now, we're from Georgia, so Applebee's was a thing.
Hey, no free promo on this show. But if anyone at home is interested, contact us at podcast@ausa.org. All right, final question. Brad, what is Heather's favorite song?
Heather's favorite song? Man, now you put me on the spot. I'm horrible with this.
Let's see if Heather can sweep in for the win here. Heather, Brad's favorite song?
Anything by the band Kiss.
So, our wedding song is Marvin Gaye, You're All That I Need.
Yeah, we could do a sad song. I was like, nobody's crying at my wedding.
Nope.
We had a very military wedding, too. 12 swords and everything. Hit me on the butt, said, welcome to the Army.
Well, not only were you welcome to the Army, Heather, but now you're welcome to the winner's circle here at Army Matters, the Not-So-Newlywed Game. Congratulations! The 1970s TV game show, The Newlywed Game, quizzed couples that had recently gotten married about how well they knew their spouses. But, as many married couples know, you don't really get to know your spouse until you've been with them for a while. Lieutenant Colonel Brad Cooper and his wife Heather are a perfect example of this. Married for 17 years, they've had to overcome many obstacles, including a very recent 2+ year command tour for Brad in Korea. To keep their marriage alive, they've had to create rules and systems that allow them to help each other out during these very difficult times. In today's episode, our hosts sit down with Brad and Heather to discuss how the Army ended their original relationship and then brought them back together, the rules they've created to bolster their marriage, and how asking for a W-2 helped show them they were exactly on the same page. I'm Carrie Varohakis, and this is Army Matters. Army Matters. This month, AUSA celebrates its 75th anniversary. So I walked through the halls of our office to find someone to talk to about it. Everyone was busy prepping for our upcoming conferences, talking to chapters, and organizing our education events. But eventually, I found someone who had nothing to do.
Bob Brown. I'm a General, United States Army retired, and I'm President and CEO. I'm very proud to be President and CEO of the Association of the United States Army.
Just kidding. He was actually pretty busy. But I went in anyway and asked him about the original purpose of the organization.
The United States Army created AUSA 75 years ago. They realized they needed a voice to speak for the Army. we're fighting for the Army every day and educate, inform, and connect. Connect America with our Army, educate within the Army and outside the Army, and keep people informed and everything going on, and are really a voice for the Army. Yeah.
What would he say has been the highlight of his term as president?
I think it's when we hit 1 million members, it just was such a team effort. 8 years ago, we only had 65,000 members, and then we were up to about 280,000 about 5 years ago. We came up with a whole bunch of innovative ways, and we grew to over 1 million. We hit 1 million members, and it was just like the whole team had pitched in to get there, and people had great ideas and worked hard. So it was really kind of a neat moment. We celebrated it, and just to thank the people that came up with these great ideas and to see it.
And if he had to bake a birthday cake for AUSA, what would it be?
Well, I wouldn't bake it. I'd just get a Army ration cake out of the meals ready to eat. They aren't very good, but that would be appropriate, like what the soldiers eat in the field. We'd have to add a little rain, a little cold to make it realistic, and then eat that delicious meal ready to eat cake. Yeah.
And finally, I asked him a very, very important question. Which host does he like more, Dan or Les?
They're better together. They're great together. And they're both phenomenal. And they keep asking me for like a company car or something, I'm like, oh my gosh, unbelievable. But they do a great job.
I told him, of course, that the correct answer should have been me. Thanks to General Brown for sitting down with me, and happy birthday, AUSA.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Army Matters. I'm Lieutenant General Retired Leslie C. Smith, and today I'm here with my good buddy, my best friend,
Sergeant of the Army Retired Dan Dailey. Les, how are you today?
I am great. A little tired, but good. We've been doing a lot of traveling, man, you and I.
We have been on the road because that's where our people are.
Yeah, and the Army needs us in these places.
They do.
Yeah. But I'm happy anytime I get a chance to get on a podcast with you.
Oh,
doesn't that make you feel special? Just like yesterday when we were taking those pictures.
You might get a Christmas card this year.
Oh, thank you, Dan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, Dan, speaking of being on the road, of all the deployments you've had, which was the hardest on your family?
My third tour to Iraq.
Okay.
Because we got extended twice, and I spent 18 months there.
Wow.
Yeah. 18 months. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just the absence of the father figure in the home. I mean, obviously that's hard, right? I mean, but it was what was going on in Iraq at that time. Right. The surge and the amount of casualties that were being inflicted. And every day she worried about whether or not they were going to give her a call, and it was going to be me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough thing you have to deal with. Yeah. For me, it was probably, when we had OIF-1 come down the pipe, 2003. And my wife told me later that my youngest daughter says, "Oh, Dad's still alive."
She said that?
Yeah. And so it was really, really interesting to see how they reacted to what was going on. Because, they were youngsters.
Oh, yeah.
9/11 changed everything.
Yeah. And communications, so I was in Desert Storm, right? So back then we had to write letters. I mean, it wasn't pick up the phone and call somebody. I mean, it was.
And even during OIF-1, it was, you could do a VTC's video teleconferences, but
that was the Zoom version.
Yes. No, it wasn't Zoom.
well, today.
It's pre-Zoom.
yeah. Today would be.
Yes.
Our listeners would associate with Zoom.
Zoom,
Teams.
That's right. Zoom. It was very rudimentary. And you had to come into the headquarters to go look, so you had to schedule a time for each one of the families to do it. So you could VTC, video teleconference in, the family would be there and you'd be on the other side. Sometimes it would work well, sometimes it would.
Yeah. So Les, why you asking me all these questions about deployment and family?
Because we're talking about difficult lessons And, last week, you and Holly sat down, you kicked me to the curb, and sat down with the Army family that created some effective rules. I think stuff that we could have learned about for other families to follow.
And this is a family that's still serving today too.
Yeah.
So they've been through this, and they're still serving today. And they talk about their challenges over the lifetime of being a family and deploying and reuniting and what's going to be their future too, which is amazing. Yeah,
that's great. Well, let's listen to the interview you did with Brad and Heather Cooper.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Army Matters. I am your co-host, Sergeant of the Army, Dan Dailey, and I got some great news for our listeners today. We fired Les. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't fire him. But we do have one of the old hosts of Army Matters joining me today. She's a member of the AUSA team and the Dailey family. Let's say hi to Holly Dailey. Holly, welcome back to the co-host seat for Army Matters.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back. I appreciate being welcome back. And, I don't take the word old very lightly there, SMA Dailey. But I am happy to be an Army spouse for life of 32 years and also the Family Readiness Director here at AUSA.
Yeah. And the reason why we brought Holly on today is because we have an amazing opportunity to talk to a wonderful Army family. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Lieutenant Colonel Bradley Cooper and his wife, Heather Cooper. Brad and Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. Thank you, Miss Holly. It's great to be back. Heather and I appreciate you guys inviting us on so we can, this may help other folks as they're listening.
Yeah. Heather, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I am a proud spouse of 17 years. So it's been an adventure, that's for sure.
So let's go to the beginning of that adventure. So Heather, we heard in the teaser that the two of you were high school sweethearts. Can you tell us, when did you first meet? And then when did you marry into the Army family?
So I told you about our first date. So that was a span of 1996 where we first met. And then we dated off and on for a little while. Brad had always known he'd want to be a soldier. So he went off to college and went the Army officer life, and we kind of split and broke up. We had a little 6-8 year span where we did our individual lives. And then one day, I don't know if y'all remember this, first social media called MySpace.
MySpace, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I get this message on MySpace, and it is Brad, and he's like, hey, it's Brad Cooper. And I'm like, blast from the blast. How are you? And
leave a lasting impression.
We started dating, and then that was it. The next thing I know, that was 2007. Next thing I know, he's asking me to marry him and saying that he's deploying, all in the same sentence.
Oh, wow.
And so, that was our first deployment, his second deployment. So that's what started our very long relationship.
So do you mind if I ask, what was going through your head at that time? You're excited about being asked to be with this man, this soldier for life, and then you're thinking, oh my goodness, he's going to leave me right away and go deploy.
It was scary because of the year and the time and what he was doing. But I had my family. I hadn't moved yet. So that helped me get through as I learned through the transition and learn what this lifestyle was actually going to require. It was so long. We've been through so much since then. I can't even remember what was going on through my mind. What was your first thought when Dan told you he had to deploy?
You're right. I think it was more of a dazed kind of like, okay, we'll get through this. I have my Army family. We'll make it work, and we'll be waiting for you when you come home, because that's what we signed up to do, right? When we marry our soldiers, our loved ones, is to take care of them and be waiting for them when we get back.
Yeah, definitely. I think I took all the classes you could take, right? All the beginners, the new, go on to the education centers. And that really changed it for me. It allowed me to understand a little more. And then communication. Brad communicated with me often and a lot. We had rules of engagement that we established, just things that allowed us to be able to do our parts when we needed to do them, and help us reintegrate when he came back.
Now, Heather, you mentioned your family. Did you ever have family that served previously? And before you answer that one, what were your thoughts about the Army when you married Brad?
I did not have any family that was military. Actually, all of my family's from the same little town in Georgia. My dad was not old enough for the draft, so it was a new concept. I was previously married, and to a soldier, an enlisted soldier. Our marriage did not last very long, so I did have a kind of a taste of what that life looked like. So I had a lot of requirements when I met Brad, and we were courting.
Let me tell you so we get back together in 2007. So we go out to dinner, and, we're comfortable with each other because all that stuff was established back in like 96. So now we're just trying to learn, she's got a son, my stepson, from previous relationship, and, our daughter from my previous relationship. And one of the questions that she asked me, she goes, and I kid you not, she goes, I need to see a copy of your W-2 form. And I was like, what? I thought she was joking, but she's like, no, I'm serious. She's like, because if we're going to continue to last this, I got to make sure things are stable. And I'm not saying that she was trying to be like a gold digger or anything like that, but she was looking out for herself because she had a son, and, she was really looking at the long-term benefits of it. Like, what is in it for me if I want to decide to stay with this man? But I just thought it was funny, and I thought, we joked about it and everything like that, but she was having a little bit of seriousness of that too. I never had to show her my W-2, because now she knows everything about me. So
you have to understand it came from a hard time. Like, there was a hard time. 2008 economically was hard. And so making sure that everything was good was part of my end game, because marriage is serious. I didn't want to do it again. I only wanted to do it one more time, and I wanted it to be forever. So hard questions have to be asked.
Yep.
Brad, if it makes you feel any better, Holly takes my pay stubs every weekend. I don't even get to look at them.
Heather does the same thing. Sorry, Midge. Does the same thing.
Bradley, I'm gonna pull a thread on something you mentioned. So let's talk about your deployments. Not the 2 years you were in Korea recently. We're going to talk about that separately. But tell us a little bit about your deployments. What that separation was like for you and the family, and what you were doing during those deployments.
So I've done 3 deployments. First deployment was pretty easy. I was the aide de camp for General McQuistion, and that was a 15-monther. We were in Kuwait, between Kuwait and Iraq, mainly in Kuwait. That was a cool kind of deployment right there, and I almost got the red carpet treatment because I'm an aide for a GO.
Yeah.
Then I went to captain's course, and then immediately HRC said, "Hey, we need to fill these military transition teams." At the time in 2008, 2009, and they were short logistics officers. And so waived my dwell time and went on a transition team. And that's when Heather and I started getting back together. And that was a 12-monther. And now having somebody take over everything for me, like I gave her the keys to everything. I gave her my car. I gave her my the passwords to my bank account. I had my mail forwarded to her house. And we weren't even married yet. So I'm putting a lot of trust into her because as she said it before, I literally asked her to marry me a week before I got on the plane to go to Iraq.
Good timing, Brad, by the way. Great timing.
Yeah, it's great timing. Yeah. It's probably just, I don't recommend that to anybody, but at the time, I had my daughter, and I was kind of doing the virtual dad type thing with my daughter and not really getting to see her as much. And then also helping Heather raise my stepson, or our son now. She took care of everything back on the home front so I could concentrate on what my mission had to be, which was train the Iraqi army, and my specialty, logistics, and kind of help them through their integration as well too. And then on top of that, we're doing patrols for high value targets. We're doing patrols for caches, just kind of being in the thick of things near Sadr City and Hussein over there by Tajik. As you know, Sergeant Major, it was dangerous over in that side of the country. But she helped me keep focus on what the mission I had to do so I can come home to her.
Now, Brad, let's talk about your recent experience as a battalion commander in Korea. First, can you tell us what you did there? But secondly, try to describe to us how hard it was to be away for over 2 years.
I got selected for command. I didn't know what type of command I was going to be taking. And I got selected to be the 194th Division Sustainment Support Battalion Commander in 2nd Infantry Division over in Camp Humphreys. And it was funny because we were waiting on the list to come out, and Heather's like, anything but Korea.
She jinxed it. She jinxed it.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. So I kind of knew when the list came out. So I delivered it at a bad time. Like, we're sitting around the dinner table, and our rule at the dinner table is no cell phones. And we've been keeping that rule for years since we've been married. And so we're just talking about our day, talking with the kids. And this is like in the mix of COVID. You know, Heather's essential at the time because she's going to work at this veterinarian office. And I'm at home, you know, doing the teleworking thing on the talent management task force. And I'm like, hey, I got my assignment today. And Heather kind of looks up, and, our two boys are like, oh, where are you going? I was like, Korea. And Heather just kind of slams her hand on the table, and she says a 4-letter word. And then she gets up and just walks away. And I was like, and, you know, it's just, she's like, you could have told me that, not in front of the kids. You know, like I say, I always have bad delivery time. But we decided that to go ahead and go forth because she knew my goal was to be a battalion commander. That's all I ever wanted to do once I got the company command bug, 10 years before that. So she really, truly supported me. I know she swallowed a lot of her opinions and stuff, but we knew that it was going to be a hardship on both ends. And it really didn't hit me till about probably 14 months into command that my family is more important than the Army. And I know that's a shocker to say that on AUSA, but it truly is, because your family is going to be there after the Army is done with you. Mm. And humans, I truly believe, like, humans are not meant to be alone. Like, we have to have some type of companionship.
Yeah, we're herding animals. We are.
Yeah, we are herd animals. Absolutely. Yeah. And it took Korea to really, like, I missed my friend. I missed my best friend, but it was tough. Like I said, it was different from a deployment, because you know that your spouse is coming home in 9 months or 12 months and stuff, but 24 months in total. Command was actually 25 months, but yeah, very, very challenging. And then I honestly hated the weekends because I was not staying busy. I literally had to force myself to get out and either go do some PT or get out and go explore Korea or go to the PX or something. And I just wanted the weekends just to be over with, because I was nonstop Monday through Friday doing training events and so on and so forth. And that just kept me busy. But it was rough, Sergeant Major. It really strengthened our relationship of what we want more in our lives after the Army.
Heather, how did that differ from deployments, like the very first deployment that you mentioned that you went through right after you got married?
Age. What I was worried about on first deployment, when my kids were little, now they're extremely self-sufficient. I only have one that's actually not an adult, and he's almost an adult. And so what do you do with your time when you don't have to worry about your kids so much? They're worrying about you more. You still have to be the strong one, and you can't really, you can show emotion a little, but not a little more than when they were little, but not still entirely. It's just different because you're lonely. I was lonely. I was a lot more lonely this route for the 24 months than I was on a deployment. Because a deployment, you had the camaraderie. There was, sometimes they don't come home. And we all know that. And you had that. So every time you got to speak to them was amazing. But when you're in life, like you're just going about your daily life in Korea, and I'm going about my daily life here in DC, it's you're not so much worried about they're not coming home. Now you're worried about if they're getting bored and not doing right things, and just ugly things.
How did you and Brad stay connected regularly? Did you have a tradition of getting on a virtual or a call or something that you did to keep that communication alive and that spark going?
Yes, ma'am. We did a lot of things. The video world now is amazing what you can do. It's not so much you can do that when you're deployed either, right? Because you're a soldier on a mission. You might not always have the time that you do at breakfast that he had for us. So he would eat breakfast and we would eat dinner and post him up there like, his head is over there on the computer at his
flat
chair.
daddies, right?
We also quarterly would meet each other somewhere. So I would for a week. And so I got to visit Vancouver and Whistler, and we got to go to Korea. We got to meet up in Maui for a week. Was that expensive and hurtful to our pockets? Yes. But we have an amazing family friend that said, Heather, you have a lifetime to pay that off.
Yeah.
Hey, did you get your AUSA merch yet? Check out our online selection at shop.ausa.org.
The Medal of Honor is the highest military decoration in the United States.
This medal is for the men who went down that day. It's for the families of those who didn't make it.
Recipients have done the improbable, showing immense bravery and sacrifice in the name of something much bigger than themselves. On Medal of Honor, Stories of Courage, you'll hear about these heroes and what their stories tell us about the nature of bravery. Listen to Medal of Honor wherever you get your podcast.
Welcome back to Army Matters. Now, Brad, I want to talk about rules. What sort of rules have you and Heather set up while you were on deployment and while you were in Korea?
Yeah. So one of our rules was one that we established when we first got married was, we can't spend anything over $500.
We had that rule. We had that without asking.
Without asking.
Without asking the other, unless it's groceries, because we all know how groceries are. Yeah. We're feeding for a family of 4, sometimes 5.
Yeah. We were enlisted, so our limit was like 150.
Oh, it started off with 50, and then I gradually got to go 100.
Yeah.
One other rule, because when we got to DC, like Heather and I always gave each other a 90-day grace period. So I'm going into a new job, and that 90-day grace period gives us time to establish our battle rhythm at work. And we just, so I can come home late, not too late. Obviously, I got to communicate, hey, I'm not going to be home for dinner. And Heather would do the same thing. She just recently started a new job, and she's past the 90-day mark, but she asked for a little bit of an extension because, her job is pretty demanding.
There's always exceptions to policies, sir. There's always exception to policies.
There's always exception to policy. And then one that Heather established like day one of our marriage, even when we were dating, was leave your boots at the door. And that's because when you're home, you're home.
Let me explain that, because sometimes you can't not bring work home. So what that means is, though, you can't come in and treat me like a soldier. Because me and the family we are not soldiers. We do not work for you. And so I need you to leave the knife hand soldiering or boots at the door. When you come in, your demeanor should be different. And until it can be, and I understand that maybe sometime it can't be, because you got to be in a headspace where you got to be, but you're going to have to leave and come back when your boots are off. So that was just my rule is sometimes the soldier has to stop.
I don't think I've ever treated my family like my soldiers. I don't think I never did that.
I'm sure Holly has stories.
I have the right to remain silent.
Plead the fifth.
These are great last year. Holly and I had similar things. And that's, I think that's just an amazing story that our families need to hear is, hey, there's hardships, but this is how you deal with it. And this is how you cope. And you set expectations for each other. They're going to happen. And in saying that, if you had to go back, or you could go back, Would you change anything during that relationship bonding or development? Because that's what we're all still developing our relationships as we continue on with our marriages. And the rules that you set, was there anything you wish you can go back and say, man, I what if we could have done this to better that relationship? Brad, Heather?
I'll let you take that question first, sir.
Oh, man. All right, Sergeant Major. Okay. Let me dig deep on this one. If I could go back, I would learn to express my feelings a little bit better with my spouse. Because the Army has taught me to maintain a certain type of composure, because we've always been taught that emotions get soldiers killed. So I didn't really start bringing my feelings out of how I feel and, what's best for my emotional intelligence and so on and so forth, till I really took battalion command, to be honest with you, and I was away from my spouse. There were some times that Heather would really struggle to get my feelings out, because she really, truly wanted to know how I was feeling about a certain situation or that we were discussing and so forth. And sometimes I'd give her the one sentence, like, yep, okay, sure, yeah, I like that. So I say to everyone is, it's okay to, one, trust your spouse. You should be trusting your spouse, especially if you're going to marry them, and to open up more. And it's okay. And I mean, I'm a 25-year lieutenant colonel. It's okay to share your feelings. I get it. But you got to know when to turn on and turn off, but you can't have it turned off all the time, because then it starts affecting your spouse.
Well, first comment is, I don't think we understood our feelings enough back then to be able to express them appropriately. That takes some time and trust building exercises and a whole plan.
We forgot to say at the beginning of this podcast, she is way smarter than me. This is why I married her.
I know.
Okay?
She just tore your answer up with one line there. That was really good. Yeah.
But I am glad that he's thinking that way now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's end with something fun. Heather, you mentioned that when you guys were stationed in Hawaii, you lived the life of a Nicholas Sparks character. What did you mean by that?
I loved horseback riding. And so Brad, for my birthday that year, we had moved out there. He knew I was longing to put my butt on a horse. So he finds this horse ranch and we go for a horse ride. And then one of the owners there was on our tour and said, hey, if you want a job, you let me know. So I did. And she called me and interviewed me. And the next thing I know, I am an assistant ranch manager running a horse ranch that did Japanese tours in the northern mountains of Hawaii. It's not everyone wants to go to the beach all the time. And so we did horseback tours. I saddled and cleaned and unsaddled approximately 14 horses a day. And I love this job. We're in Hawaii and all you can see is these beautiful waters because we're so high. They're 3,000 or however many feet in the sky, right? Looking over at it all. And it just pours rain every day. And it's like you're on this horse and you're in the rain. And I'm like, this couldn't be more than a Nicholas Sparks book every single day.
Yeah, that's amazing life about the Army. Doors open no matter where you live.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to open them.
We could have both of you guys on and talk for hours and hours and hours. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I just want to tell you thank you. Thanks, Brad, for your incredible service. Thanks for being an AUSA fellow, and ma'am, thanks for keeping that man in check for so long. And you know what? You keep pushing him because you deserve your way of life. That's right.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You keep pushing him.
Thank you.
All right, team. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Are you ready to take the next step in your personal and professional journey? Through the Enhance Your Life certification and degree program, AUSA members and military professionals can access professional development courses, certifications, and credentials, all at a discounted rate. Whether you're looking to level up your current role or prepare for what's next, the Enhance Your Life program is designed to help you do exactly that, on your time and at your pace. Invest in yourself, empower your future. Learn more at www.ausa.org/Enhance Your Life certification program. To all our listeners, thanks for joining us. Army Matters is brought to you by the Association of the United States Army, the U.S. Army's professional association, member-supported, Army-connected. Visit us at AUSA.org for more information or to become a member. Your membership helps AUSA continue to carry out its mission, educate, inform, and connect with the total Army, our industry partners, and supporters of a strong national defense. Today's episode was hosted by Lieutenant General Retired Les Smith and SMA Retired Dan Dailey, and anchor hosted by Carrie Barrow-Heckes. Anthony Del Call is the producer and writer, and Andy Bosnack is the supervising sound editor. Ellen Toner is the content editor. Unzinga Curry is the executive producer, and the senior producers are Carrie Barrow-Heckes and LaSharon Duncan. Be sure to subscribe to Army Matters wherever you get your podcasts, and please leave a review. As you know, we love seeing stars in the Army, especially if it comes in the form of a 5-star review. AUSA's Army Matters podcast can also be heard on Reach Across America Radio on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app with the search of the word Reef. AUSA's Army Matters podcast primary purpose is to entertain. The podcast does not constitute advice or services. While guests are invited to listen, listeners, please note that you're not being provided professional advice from the podcast or the guest. The views and opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the views of AUSA. For questions or to provide topic recommendations, email us at podcast@ausa.org. I'm LaSharon Duncan. Hope you have a great Army Day. Hooah!